Superman v Batman. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. The critics absolutely hated it. They hated it. And the general audience liked it. Generally, they liked it. I was reading this article today. Batman v Superman heads towards 171 million pre-summer opening record. Why complain? Late night update. If you look, it looks like this movie in its first day has made 81.3 million, and he beat the Fast and Furious 7, which was a pretty dynamic, exciting movie. And it looks like they're going to beat the Hunger Games. When a movie gets bad reviews, usually they fold. But in this particular movie, they're able to pull off such big, it looks like they're going to have massive gains from it. Batman vs. Superman, it follows in the footsteps of Twilight Breaking Dawn, which had 138.1 million, even though the critics trashed that movie, and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I personally think that the DC fans really love this movie. I think DC fans everywhere are like, yes, finally a movie that pays tribute to Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman the way it ought to be. How Superman moves, how Wonder Woman moves, how Superman talks, how his philosophy of life, how Batman behaves in every aspect of the way, how Wonder Woman is portrayed on the screen. Finally, somebody's got it right. So I think that the DC fans are going to love this, and they're going to really support this with their all, and their DC fans globally. Internationally, I mean, people gave this film a ovation, a standing ovation at the end of the film. People actually clapped the film where I was. And also, and I went and saw it opening day Friday. And I watched it twice. And I'm going to watch it about 3 more times after this because I really love the film. I loved Man of Steel. And this film, let me just make it abundantly clear to you guys. If you haven't watched Man of Steel, you're going to miss a lot and misunderstand a lot of things in this film. This film picks up where Man of Steel left off. This is 80% based on Man of Steel. So you really need to go watch Man of Steel before you watch this movie, or be with somebody who can explain what's going on in the film based on Man of Steel. Now, I've listened to the critics try to pretty much bash this movie. Why I say they are bashing the movie? Because they only talk about what's wrong with it, and they seem to emphasize and belabor what's wrong with the movie. And I really don't see what they're seeing, and I'm going to explain to them why I think they have such a negative opinion of the movie. It's very simple, really. This movie is at a brisk walking pace. This movie starts off and it is as economical as it can be in terms of the lines and time it uses. So it's very clear and to the point about what it wants to portray. But it doesn't do everything in a very simpleton, linear fashion. It moves from one scene to the next scene. But every scene that comes has a significance for a scene down the road. And the scenes are, to me, very clear, but as brief as can be. They don't spare anything. So I think that's what determines the pace of this movie. Now, here's what I think happened with the critics. The critics went into this movie with expectations. And you hear them say that they had certain expectations about the movie. I didn't go into this movie with expectations. I didn't know what I was going to expect, which was good, because it allowed the movie to tell its story, and then I could critique it based on that. So I enjoyed the story of the movie. Some people didn't like the opening scene of the movie with Batman, and they talked about how that could have ruined the movie, and I couldn't understand, because that opening scene was pivotal to the kind of persona that Batman had. So, and this is a superhero movie. That's all I will say about that. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. Go watch this movie. It's an awesome movie. But try to go with somebody who either knows about DC Comics or knows the background to Man of Steel at least. Because that will help you to understand a number of things going on in the movie. If you're a DC fan, then you're obviously going to understand all of the other stuff that comes up in the movie to a great extent. So if it wasn't the other 20% of this movie, most of the 20%, I would say about 15% of that 20%, you're going to understand. You're going to be like you're going to be so hyped. It's not funny. You're going to really enjoy it. Okay. Were there some areas in the film which were kind of corny? Yes. 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 But they have relevance to the film. They absolutely do. So give the film a chance to let those so-called corny elements that you think are in the film, which seem to look like the film has slowed down, but the film hasn't slowed down. It actually moves at a very brisk pace. And even those elements in the film where they are highlighted have a significance to the rest of the film. They're not slow at all. They actually get a shorter space of time than the other elements in the film. It's very interesting how people emotionally slow things down or speed things up. And as to the tone of the film, definitely Warner Brothers. This is a Warner Brothers film. Has Warner Brothers stamp all over it. It reminds me of Teen Titans. It reminds me of Justice League. It reminds me of Batman. Absolutely Warner Brothers. And yes, this is a typical Warner Brothers movie. I loved that. No punches pulled. Everything was just Yeah, I'm looking forward to the director's cut, actually. This is basically my review of it. I would have given it a 9 out of 10, but I have to give it an 8.2, bearing in mind the backlash because of the critics' negative reviews of this movie. There're going to be a bunch of people going to go into this movie not looking at it just kind of with an empty head. They're going to actually be carrying baggage into this movie because of the critics and how they bash the movie. If you've been looking at critics' reviews of the movie, you can go ahead and do that. Probably you're going to disagree with the critics if you're a DC fan, because when you go into the movie and be like, critics said this, but I didn't see that. I was immersed in the movie. Some critics actually didn't even like the soundtrack of the movie, and I'm like, the soundtrack actually created that ambience of the movie. I don't know what they're talking about. So I guess, some people, they're so picky and they're so negative. Okay? They're so negative in their outlook. I think they watch one Marvel movie and then they're like, I love this movie. By the way, I don't really love Marvel movies, but I do love Captain America. I do love Spider-Man. The first two, I loved it. I loved Captain America. I really totally dug that movie. As of late, I really haven't loved anything that Marvel has put out, because I guess I'm more of a person who likes realism. And so, Warner Brothers, they do it for me. You literally feel how Batman, Batman has a lot to do with this movie. And though this movie really, the overarching theme, as you will realize, I mean, some people didn't get it, but the overarching theme is actually a Superman theme. This could easily have been Man of Steel 2, Enter the Justice League. It could have very easily been that. Batman definitely overshadows Superman, but the theme of the movie is a Superman theme. The world of the movie is Superman's world. So definitely Man of Steel is very important to go watch this movie. If you heard one or two things about the movie and then you went and watched it, you're going to still love this movie. You're going to love it. You're going to really love it. I really loved it. Loved it. Not liked it. I loved it. And you can call me crazy fanboy, whatever. I'm a DC fan, so I still love this movie. I felt like it was true to DC in so many ways. I loved that this movie, you didn't really know what was next, what was coming next. You at a certain point in the movie, you really didn't know. You were like believing everything that was happening in the movie, and you were like, damn, so this is how it goes down, huh? And then I was in a lively cinema with a lot of fans who were very vocal, a lot of pro-Batman fans. So it was really funny. And of course, there were moments where, oh my goodness, the cinema broke out in laughter because, I can't tell you, I can't spoil it for you guys. You guys go watch the movie. Depending on what kind of people are in the cinema with you, you're going to have a particular type of experience. Mine was very pleasantly positive. So I only have raving reviews for Batman v Superman. I don't know if you're going to have that experience. If the cinema is very quiet, it can take from the beauty of the film. It really does have to do with the audience's involvement in the film, how vocal they are. You guys have a great one.